Do you know the rules of the snowbound town? Not the ones in the tourist brochures, but the real rules. No? Then you're lucky. But now that you're about to hear this story, you'll know the rules too. And once you know them, you can never forget. My name is Michael Harris. I was born in a town called Nowhere, grew up here, and will probably die here. This town has 3 rules. Break them, and you'll never know a peaceful night again. Right now, your car is stuck in the snow. It'll be a while until the tow truck arrives, so listen to this story. It might help you survive in this town. Truth be told, I wasn't going to tell you this at first. I've lived in this town for 42 years and have never told a tourist about the rules, because it's safer not to know. Sometimes, knowledge is a curse, but tonight is different. Your car breaking down isn't a coincidence. When you live in this town long enough, you learn how rare coincidences truly are, especially on festival nights. You were meant to be here. I don't know why, but something guided you here, so I decided to tell you, like my mother told me and my grandfather told her. The truth of this land, bound by blood, snow, and ancient promises. Our family line is deeply intertwined with this town's history. My great-grandfather, Elias Harris, was one of the first to write down these rules. In 1889, after that terrible winter, I'll tell you more about that year later, but for now, know this. We Harrises are chroniclers. We preserve the truth, pass it down, and speak it when necessary. And tonight, it is necessary. Welcome to Nowhere. This much snow is unusual, isn't it? Just a moment ago, the road was clear, and now the snow is up to your knees. That's just the way it is in this town. The world changes in an instant. The town's name is Nowhere. It means no place. It might sound dramatic, but it wasn't named intentionally. The old settlers supposedly named it after some Norse word, but no one remembers the true meaning. Over time, people simply started calling it Nowhere. I think it's quite fitting. This town is surrounded by mountains, cut off from the world. It's not on any map. You won't find it unless you look very carefully. Winters are long and brutal. They bury cars, freeze pipes, and make you hesitate to go outside. It snows so much that you sometimes see children building snowmen even in summer. Life here is simple. You can't survive otherwise. People live off the land. Ice fishing, bartering, whatever they can do to make a living. It's devoid of modern conveniences. Cell reception is bad. Wi-Fi is worse. If you need supplies from outside, you'll wait months for a resupply truck. But the food is warm, and the people are good most of the time. We don't need the conveniences of the outside world. Of course, we're not completely cut off. Once a month, sometimes twice, a supply truck comes through. The driver is always the same, a man named Ray Nash. He's been on this route for over 20 years. Ray's an interesting guy. He refuses to set foot in the town. He only unloads his cargo at the warehouse on the town's edge. From there, the townspeople take over. I've asked him why, and he just shakes his head and says,
"It's got a bad feeling."
There are similar stories about his predecessors. They all quit after a few years. They'd start having nightmares in the middle of the night or feel watched from the forest while driving. Some even claimed to have seen strange things on the road. Ray's lasted the longest because he doesn't step into town. Smart man. Still, sometimes you see a look of fear in his eyes, especially during the deep winter, when he delivers on the nights the snow falls heaviest. He keeps looking over his shoulder as if he's seen something in the forest, but he never elaborates. He doesn't want to talk about it. and we don't press him. Some things are better left unknown. I was born here, grew up here. I learned to fish before I learned to read. I spent my childhood in 3 layers of clothes, breaking paths through waist-deep snow. My dog, Lucky, was a pup then. Now he's old and slow, but his fur is still as black as night. In this white world, he's like an ink stain against the snow, and you can spot him from miles away. I think you'll like it here. Most people do, at first. They come for the festival. It's the busiest time of year, the Aurora Borealis Festival. It's what keeps this town alive. It brings in money and keeps the lights on. People come from all over the world to see the sky glow and feel like they've found something special. But nowhere has secrets. Most of them are old, too old to be worth mentioning. Just stories passed down from people who have been dead longer than we have. But the important ones, the ones that really matter, are never forgotten, especially at this time of year. Because when the festival comes, other things come too. Things not in the brochures. Things you don't talk about after you leave town. There are rules here. I don't expect you to believe me. Most tourists don't, at least not at first. They laugh it off, thinking it's small-town superstition, a way to make this place seem more mysterious. And that's fine. You don't have to believe, but you do have to listen, because you're here now. And in nowhere, things move in the night. There are a lot of little things the people of nowhere do without thinking. Knocking snow off their boots before coming inside. Keeping gloves near the front door for visitors. Leaving a lantern by the window, even when the electricity is working fine. And then there's this. Whenever you visit someone, a friend's house, a store, a bar, even the convenience store late at night, you always knock on the door and say, "Person here." It's just the way it is here. If you look closely, you'll see it everywhere. Fishermen returning from the docks will knock on the frame of the bait shop before stepping inside. A group of friends rushing into the bar to escape the cold will rap on the doorway once before ducking in. Even at the general store, regulars do it without thinking. They tap the wood before crossing the threshold. I do it too. Not because I'm thinking about it. Not even because I'm reminding myself. It's just a habit. I've always done it. I saw my parents do it. I saw my grandparents do it. All the adults in town, everyone who lived here before me. It's just part of life in nowhere. Like getting up early on a winter morning to shovel the paths before they freeze over. Like checking the weather forecast every morning, even though you know it won't be much different. You check it anyway. You don't question it. But sometimes children forget. And when they forget, interesting things happen. Last summer, Lisa, the mayor's daughter, went to a friend's house. She was 8 years old. Lost in play, she forgot to knock. Just opened the door and ran in. And the temperature inside the house dropped 10 degrees, just like that. Lisa's friend's mother, Martha Collins, was in the kitchen, and her breath suddenly turned to mist, even though it was a hot summer day. And for a few seconds, she felt lost in her own home, as if the walls were in slightly different places, and the doors didn't open in the right direction. Martha quickly found Lisa, pulled her outside, and told her to enter again, the right way. The knock, the words, and the invitation. And when Lisa did, everything went back to normal. The temperature, the arrangement of the furniture, the feeling of the world. Martha didn't sleep that night, trying to understand what had happened. But there's no explanation, just a rule. A rule you follow for the consequences, not for the reason. After experiences like that, children never forget. Not because they're afraid, but because they instinctively understand. that there are unseen boundaries in the world, and you have to respect them. But tourist children don't know. So sometimes, when they're playing, strange things happen. Parents ask for explanations, and we shrug and blame the weather. Old houses, strange wind patterns, mountain climates. It's not a lie, but it's not the whole truth either. Tourists sometimes notice. They see us knock and announce ourselves, and some of them laugh. They think it's one of those quaint little town traditions, something out of a travel documentary. To an outsider, maybe it looks that way. They even try it sometimes. Usually as a joke. They rap their knuckles on the door, smile at their friends, and say the words in an exaggerated accent, as if playing pretend. The shopkeeper smiles, the bartender nods, and life goes on. A lot of things in nowhere seem harmless. Most of them are, in fact. But this is one of the things that started for a reason. There's a story behind it. A story I want you to hear. A place like nowhere clings to its stories, hemmed in by towering mountains, under a clear sky where every star is visible, with a forest as deep and wild as the ocean. This town is built on more than just wood and stone. It's built on belief, on superstition, on knowledge passed down by word of mouth from people who have spent enough time here to understand this land, knowledge not found in books or schools. The people here survive by listening. The mountains are old. The forest is older. And something else has been living there for a very long time. Monsters, my grandfather used to call them. Not the fairy tale kind. No dragons or ghosts or things that crawl out of the ground. What lives here is something else. Something that smiles too wide, that watches from the trees, that slips through the cracks of the world like water through frozen earth. The people of nowhere live in harmony with them. Always have. It's just the way it's always been. A town like this doesn't survive unless it learns to live with what's already here. So we follow the rules, like our grandparents did, and their grandparents before them. The rule you just heard, it's one of the oldest. That knocking and announcing yourself might seem strange. It's just something we do. A habit, a greeting, something so ordinary no one thinks much about it. But it has a reason buried deep in the past, passed down like old stories told over a crackling fire. Monsters don't lie. That's what my grandfather said. They can deceive, they can mislead, they can twist words like a fisherman twists a knot, but they can never tell an outright lie. What magic prevents them? I don't know. No one does. But it works. And that's why the rule exists. In a town like this, small, isolated, surrounded by miles of wilderness, you can't survive unless you can trust your neighbors. Hard winters, long nights, roads that disappear under thick snow. People need each other to get by. But how do you trust someone in a place where not everything walking on two legs is human? You make them tell you. Long ago, people would reveal their identity before stepping into a home, a shop, or any gathering place. A simple custom, simple words, just a way to make sure. If you're human, you can say it without a problem. Something else can't. So the rule remained. Even now, when no one really tells the reason, when it's just something people do without thinking, it remains. A tradition, a part of nowhere's history, so deeply woven into daily life that no one questions it. When you're here, you'll see it. You'll hear it done so casually, see it done so nonchalantly. You might forget there was ever a reason for it. But don't forget, if you visit anywhere in town, make sure to follow the rule. Some of the monsters won't force their way in. They'll wait for you to invite them. They'll offer you trinkets made of bone, coins older than any civilization, gems that glow under moonlight. They'll promise warmth on the coldest nights and whisper of hidden places no human has ever seen. Some will challenge you to games, simple wagers, tests of luck. Some will offer you riddles, the kind that twist your thoughts and tug at something deep inside you. Riddles you know you shouldn't solve, but you'll want to. I encountered such a game once. I was 15. I was lost in the woods, and the sun was setting, and I was panicking. And then I heard a voice from among the trees. A woman's voice, singing beautiful, as gentle as my mother singing a lullaby.
Lost boy,
The voice said,
let's play a game. If you win, I'll guide you home. If you lose, well, you don't need to think about losing.
I couldn't see the speaker. I knew something was moving in the shadows of the trees, but I couldn't make out a form. But it seemed like I had no choice. I might freeze to death spending a night in the woods. The game was simple. 3 questions. Answer them correctly, and you win. Get them wrong, and the voice didn't elaborate. First question.
What is your deepest fear?
I answered, honestly, being left alone, losing my loved ones, this town becoming empty and just me remaining. Second question.
What is your greatest desire?
I answered that too. To find someone who understood the beauty of a place like this. To find someone to share the loneliness with. Third question.
Did you speak the truth?
It was a trap. I realized. If I said yes, then I had indeed spoken the truth, but it meant I didn't understand the intent of the question. If I said no, then I had lied, which would be a falsehood in itself. But there was a third option. I spoke the truth as I know it. I said, but my truth may not be complete. I am only 15, and I have much to learn. There was a long silence, then a laugh. Beautiful, but somehow sad.
A clever answer, boy. You win.
And then I was shown the way. A perfectly clear path appeared at my feet, leading all the way to the town lights. When I got home, my grandfather was waiting. He took one look at my face and seemed to understand immediately what had happened.
Next time,
He said,
don't play games. Even if you win, there's always a cost to dealing with them.
he was right. Since that night, I sometimes hear that voice in the woods, calling, enticing, suggesting bigger games, higher stakes. But I never answer. Once was enough. Some are mischievous, more a nuisance than a nightmare. Given time, they'll spoil your milk, tangle your fishing lines, and lead you down the wrong path until you're lost for hours. Annoying, but not deadly. Others are worse. But whether they have wings, or fangs, or claws, they all live under the same rules. Rules older than the town, older than the mountains, older than anything that walks or breathes. And the most important one? They can't lie. That's the only advantage you have. So, if you meet someone who seems off, too beautiful, or with teeth a little too sharp, or something that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, wait for them to say, "Person here," before you let them in. There are things in nowhere that don't belong. Not like the monsters, they've been here forever, woven into the very fabric of the land. No, these things are different. They're from somewhere else. No one knows where, though. They just slip into places they shouldn't be, waiting for someone to notice. The Wonderworld coins are one of them. You'll find them scattered around town. Silver dollar-sized coins, painted gold, but worthless in any meaningful sense. They're stamped with the words Wonderworld LTO and an image of a Ferris wheel. If you examine a coin closely, you'll see other details. Below the Ferris wheel, Tiny letters spell out a date, opened 1893, and on the reverse side, almost too small to read, the words "Your dreams await" are spiraled around. That's a significant year. It's the year of the first big incident in nowhere. Records show that during the summer of that year, strange construction activity began on the outskirts of town. No one remembered issuing a building permit, and none of the workers were local. They were building something large, circular. They worked at night and disappeared during the day. When townspeople tried to approach, the workers would smile and wave but never answer questions, as if they couldn't hear. The construction lasted 3 months. Then, one morning, everything was gone. The building, the workers, the construction equipment. Nothing remained, just flat land, as if nothing had ever happened. But the land was different. No grass grew there, and no snow would stick. And on moonless nights, some people swear they can faintly see the silhouette of a Ferris wheel. That's when the Wonderworld coins started appearing. At first, only around the construction site, but gradually, they spread throughout the town, like roots taking hold, slowly but surely. They shouldn't be here. There's no Wonderworld in nowhere. No theme park, no carnival, no business of that name. Not now, not ever. Ask anyone, and they'll tell you the same thing. The nearest amusement park is miles away, past frozen highways and dense forests, far beyond where these coins should exist. But you'll find them anyway, in the strangest places, behind a dumpster, half buried in the snow, balanced on the edge of a rain gutter, too clean for how long it's been there, sitting in the wire basket of an abandoned shopping cart, glinting in the dim light. And sometimes they'll appear in places meant just for you, on the table of the coffee shop the moment you walk in, in the pocket of an old ski jacket you haven't worn in years, snuggled into the seat of your car, even when you're sure you locked the doors, as if they're waiting, as if they want to be found. But no matter what, don't take them. Don't pick them up. Don't slip them into your pocket, thinking they'll be an interesting souvenir. Don't take them home, thinking they might be worth something after all. They're not worth anything. No one knows where they come from. No one knows why they appear. But everyone in nowhere knows the same thing. The coins always disappear. If you leave them alone, they'll be gone the next time you look. If you throw them away, they won't be in the trash when you check again. If you toss them into the frozen lake, you'll find them waiting in someone's coat pocket the next morning. You can't get rid of them. Not really. They move on their own. And if you take one, well, there's a story about that too. There was a local man named Jim. Jim was a good man, good in every sense of the word, good as God himself. That's what my grandfather always said about him, and I believe it. He went to church on Sundays, did honest work, and said please and thank you. He never raised his voice in anger, and he never abandoned a neighbor in need. If you asked most people, they'd tell you Jim was a good man. But Jim was also greedy. Not the greedy of a thief, not the kind of greed that cheats people or steals, but the kind of greed that wears people down over time. He liked to haggle, always pushing, always pressing, always trying to get something of value for a little less than it was worth. Didn't matter if it was a bag of potatoes, an old pair of boots, or a jar of jam at the market. Jim would argue the price down, not because he couldn't afford it, but because he hated paying full price when he knew he could make someone come down. He gained a reputation, especially among the shopkeepers. The grocer especially couldn't stand him. People would roll their eyes and step aside when they saw Jim walk up to a stall. They knew it would be a show, Jim standing there, arms crossed, lips pursed, shaking his head, trying to logically confuse the poor man over a few pennies. Some said the exchange would go on so long you could feel the seasons change. But Jim always got his way. Then, the Wonderworld coins started to appear. They weren't everywhere like they are now. Back then, they were rarer, something you might find occasionally, stuck in a crack in the pavement or wedged between the cobblestones on Main Street. No one knew where they came from, but people liked them. They were strange, but beautiful, shiny, golden, too clean to be ordinary. Some people started collecting them, saving them in small boxes, putting them on shelves. They were nothing more than a curiosity. But Jim saw something else in them. He hoarded them like a crow hoards trinkets. Every time he found one, he'd scoop it up, slip it into his pocket, hide it in a jar, fill his drawers until his home was cluttered with piles of worthless gold. No one would accept them as payment, no matter how hard he tried, but Jim didn't care. He was convinced they had value, convinced they were for something. And that's how the story goes. Jim, his pockets full of coins, walking deep into the forest where the trees grew too close and the air stood still. Perhaps he was looking for something, or perhaps he was following something. A path older than the town itself, a faint track barely visible under thick layers of snow, winding through the forest where no human had ever gone. And there, he met a dwarf. No one knows what the dwarf looked like. Some say he was small and hunched, with a beard so long it touched the ground. Others say he was nothing more than a voice in the trees, a shadow moving just outside of sight, something that never fully stepped into the light. But everyone agrees on one thing. Jim asked him for a favor. No one knows what the favor was. Perhaps Jim asked for endless riches, or something more practical, something to make his life a little easier, a bigger catch for fishing season, a guarantee that his traps would always be full. It doesn't matter. The details change depending on who tells the story, but the ending never does. The dwarf agreed to grant Jim's wish, but like favors in all old stories, there was a cost. Jim had to pay him in gold, his weight in gold, and he agreed. That's the part that always surprises me. Jim agreed. Maybe he thought he'd find a loophole later. Maybe he thought he was clever enough to outsmart something that had walked these woods before humans built their first homes. Maybe he truly believed the forces that govern the world would let him get away with it. But he didn't pay in real gold. He paid with Wonderworld coins. Did Jim himself understand what happened in that moment? The next week, they found him in his home, leaning back in his chair, skin cold, his mouth slightly agape as if he had been stopped mid-sentence. His tongue was gone. No one collects the coins anymore. People leave them where they find them, stepping over them as if they're not there, brushing them off desks and counters without a second thought. The old rule stands. Ignore the Wonderworld coins. Nothing good comes from keeping false gold. You're here for the festival. That's what brings most people to nowhere. To see the aurora, to take a few pictures, maybe make a wish or two. It's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing, right? Something you can tell people about when you go home. Something you can carry with you for the rest of your life. And you won't be disappointed. The lights are everything you've heard, and more. The sky moves in slow waves, colors rippling like silk caught in the wind. Green, blue, purple, shifting, stretching from one horizon to the next. They make no sound, but somehow they feel loud, as if they're filling something deep inside you, something you didn't realize was empty. It's impossible not to get caught up in the moment. People stand in the streets, breath steaming in clouds, faces tilted to the sky. The whole town feels frozen in place, staring at something bigger than themselves, something older. You understand the old stories about the aurora carrying souls to the afterlife. There's something about them that makes you feel like you're standing on the edge of the world, seeing something you shouldn't. But when the lights fade, when the sky settles back into darkness, when the festival starts to quiet down and the cold begins to creep in, that's when you have to remember the rule. Don't go straight home. Not yet. The locals call it shaking off the spirits. You go somewhere else first. The bar, the convenience store, the late-night cafe, even a hot cocoa stand by the side of the road will do. But you have to stay for an hour. No matter how tired you are, no matter how cold your fingertips feel, no matter how much you want to crawl under a warm blanket and sleep, you don't. You wait. You sit. You drink something warm. You listen to the low murmur of conversation around you. You let the night settle. Let the weight of the sky lift from your shoulders. Then, and only then, do you go home. During this waiting period, locals engage in specific behaviors. They talk to others, confirming their connections to the real world. They consume warm food and drink, grounding themselves in the physical realm. And sometimes, they perform small rituals, tossing a pinch of salt over their shoulder, touching an iron penny, or reciting an old prayer. Tourists find these behaviors strange, but they're encouraged to participate. The hour-long wait is also a time to welcome and protect newcomers. But most importantly, no one waits alone. There's always a crowd, always conversation, always human interaction. Because isolation is dangerous. A lonely person is more susceptible to temptation, more easily swayed by the wrong voices. Community becomes a shield. Humanity becomes an anchor. And after an hour passes, everything is safe. Most tourists don't think much of it. They see it as just another one of nowhere's quaint little traditions, like knocking on doors or ignoring strange coins. Some even like it. They say it adds to the charm of the place, makes them feel like they're part of something. But there's a reason for the rule. The old stories say that when the lights come, they don't come alone. And sometimes, if you go straight home after seeing the aurora, something might follow you. The aurora are the souls traveling on the highway to the afterlife. That's what the old stories say. Most of them pass through without issue. They drift along that shining highway in the sky, moving further and further from this world until nothing is left but a memory. But not all of them do. Some have unfinished business. Some might find a familiar face in the crowd. Some might hear a voice that stirs something deep inside them, something that reminds them of what they left behind. Or perhaps they don't know they're dead. Not completely, not yet. Whatever the reason, they stop. They pull themselves from the light, detach themselves from the path that was supposed to carry them beyond, and they follow someone home. That's when the haunting begins. It starts slowly, like mold creeping into places it shouldn't be, curling along door frames, darkening the corners of rooms where no moisture should collect. The people in the house grow tired, worn down by an invisible thing that pushes against them, little by little, wearing them away. They wake up worse than when they went to sleep, their strength draining piece by piece, their appetite fading until food becomes an afterthought. They stop answering the phone, stop coming to town, stop going outside altogether. It's as if something is pulling them inward, wrapping its fingers around their soul, dragging them down into a silence that no one can break. By the time the town realizes what's happening, it's usually too late, because what came home with them, it's no longer a loved one. It might wear their face, wear their voice like an old coat, move the way they used to, stand at just the right angle in the doorway to make someone hesitate. It might whisper old jokes, hum a favorite song, tilt its head in a familiar way that makes your chest ache with sorrow. But make no mistake, what comes back from the aurora isn't human. Not anymore. And the longer it stays, the worse it gets. It starts small, like all hauntings do. A broken glass on the kitchen floor, a picture frame falling in the middle of the night. It could be an accident. It could be nothing. At first, people tell themselves that. Then, the accidents become something else. The spirits want attention. If ignoring them doesn't work, they push harder. A shove on the stairs, a hard grip on the shoulder, a sudden tug on the wrist that sends someone flying across a room. People end up with unexplained bruises, broken bones, concussions. The injuries start as warnings, frustration, lashing out, a spirit angry at not being recognized. But the anger grows, and so does the power. Given enough time, it might decide it has the right to take your life. If it can't go where it's supposed to go, it might decide you can't go either. Some of the spirits are desperate. Some are lonely. Some are simply full of hate. And when one of them reaches that point, when it's no longer just about being seen, but about dragging you down with it, there's only one thing left to do. Call someone who knows how to deal with it. An exorcist, a monster hunter, someone who's done this long enough to understand the danger. The rule is simple. If you visit the aurora, don't go straight home. Find a third place, a bar, a convenience store, a coffee shop. Order something warm, dunk a donut in your cup, make small talk with strangers, and watch the snow settle around you, waiting for the night to calm. Give whatever might have followed you time to lose interest. Let it pass by following the rule. I've been here a long time. The same streets, the same faces, the same long winters that bury the town in snow. Festivals come and go, tourists pass through, but nowhere stays the same. And you've been listening the whole time. Looks like your ride's here. Before you go, remember the rules. They're simple, but important. Say you're a person at the door. A simple knock. Quiet words. That's all it takes. It's not much. Just a habit, a little old tradition. Ignore the Wonderworld coins. You might find them waiting for you, tucked in your jacket pocket, placed on a cafe table as if it belongs there. Leave it. Walk away. It's not worth keeping, not worth carrying, not worth whatever might come looking for it later. Don't go straight home after the festival. The lights are beautiful, but they don't come alone. Give them time to fade. Give whatever lingers time to lose interest. Otherwise, you might find something waiting for you when you get home, something that should never have stayed. Most people who visit nowhere never notice these things. They come for the festival, take pictures, buy souvenirs, and leave without ever really looking at the town around them. And that's a good thing. That's safe. But now you know better. All right, off you go. The lodge isn't far, and the road's clear enough now. You've got a long night ahead of you and the aurora waiting. And if you ever need another story, you know where to find me. Now, welcome to nowhere. Enjoy your stay.